Just mute Josh for a sec. Hey, Josh.
And we are live.
Greetings and welcome to Service Six Sigma. We've got Josh in the background. Hang on, Josh. I'm just going to quickly brief you. Check your sound. Check sound.
You want to bring him on?
No sound. No. Can you see them? Has he got sound?
I'm not too sure.
There's no way to check. We can't hear you, Josh.
You can't hear me at all?
Oh,
there
now
we
I can.
go.
Okay, great.
All
right,
you guys
so
have me muted.
Here he is. Josh Trees is here with Service Six Sigma. Hey, Josh, I'll just give a quick rundown. Service Six Sigma is a podcast for the mobile contractor industry, and we are well over 50 podcasts deep now, and we welcome you to the show. But what it is we've broken businesses down into 6 sectors for the purposes of Six Sigma. Six Sigma is the process of perfecting a business step by step, adding systems and procedures every time something goes wrong. And you should end up with something like an airline business or a nuclear business where, you know, all known things that can go wrong don't go wrong because you have a system process, and then you've optimized your business. So it's the step by step, you know, and it starts as you know, 2 people in a garage, and it ends up as a corporation, maybe, whatever you want. And then we broke your business down into 6 sectors. So you've got, you know, how to attract a customer, how to sell a customer, how to deliver the services to a customer, how to control what's going on. That's your CRM side of things. Then how to scale that business. So you've got either multiple services and or multiple trucks delivering your services. And then it's time to give back. And that's what Service Six Sigma is about. We interview some of the guys who are where you want to be, who were where you were, and who were where you are. And then we crack on and just try and share something from our lives, and what we can do to make life the best journey possible. So, with no further ado, what is that background music? We have got from We Hang Christmas Lights.
You know, my son set this up. We're at our Dallas house, so I don't have in East Texas at the other place. I have the full office, and I've got the podcast studio that I recently started. But yeah, sorry for those technical difficulties in the beginning.
No worries, bro.
I think he had another browser open, so the camera and the mic wasn't working.
Doesn't matter to us.
Do we have Christmas music going on?
I think it is.
I love it.
Bloody
if it's too distracting, I can try to figure out how to turn it down. I can't guarantee. Let's see here.
You can keep it running. Just turn the sound off on it because it's kind of pretty, you know.
Okay. Hey, yeah, nothing like a little bit relaxing Christmas music in May, almost June, right?
That's it. It's nearly
Christmas
time, bro.
In our business, we're already thinking Christmas, so.
Exactly.
But yeah, pleasure. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm very excited about it. And
Josh, I wouldn't have it any other way. I've got to admire your beard, by the way, because I am a bearded man who's shaved, but that is a magnificent beard.
Man, I'm shaving it soon. I gotta. It's getting a little out of control, especially the bushy side this way.
Yeah,
I've got to at least cut this out. And with these damn teenagers, it's making me go gray. You know, it's not business. I think it's the teenagers that are making all this go gray. So I threaten them to shave it all the time. And they're like, "Oh, Dad, no, you're gonna look like a wuss. That beard makes you look mean, and you know you need to keep your beard." But I gotta tidy myself up a little bit.
You just look like a cuddly bear, don't you?
Just a big 6'6", you know, like you, Barry. Just
are you kidding me? You're the same size as me.
Yeah, but I need to lose some weight. Now I have, you know, we discussed all this, and I have lost 8 pounds in the last 10 days. I was a little disappointed, but you know, I was hoping to do more. But yeah,
no, don't too fast. Like easy off, easy on, bro. Like just slow and steady. What happens if I'm right? And I'm not a doctor, so excuse me. I could be full of shit, right? But what I think is what happens, this is what Harrison's taught me. David Koznakis here regularly. So what happens, you have all these fat cells. Let's say you've got 3 million fat cells, right? And then as you lose weight, your little fat cells get smaller and smaller. But they don't go away.
They stay.
They're not killing fat cells until 6 months or something before they die, right? Before they go, oh shit, like there's no place for me here. So anytime in the next 6 months, you break out of your regime, they just go whoop, like fatten up, bro. We're ready.
I know, but
so you got to go slowly and long, right? It's like a marathon, bro. Like
I'm
The
doing
hare
the
and the
carnivore.
tortoise. The lesson of
taking-
the hare and the tortoise.
Taking your suggestion and going full bore with the carnivore. I've had maybe a couple of vegetables, but I haven't had
Yeah,
any gluten, any grains, no rice. I mean, after you
Yeah.
get, 10 days, 12 days into it, I told you I found out I had type 2 diabetes, and it's a fact of life for me. And it's getting easier every day. You find that you don't miss it. The key is having food available that's healthy. That really is.
yeah,
And we were talking about health, and a lot of people get to be, our age, my age. I'm turning 50 this year, and you start to really think about, hey, what's the priorities? And it's easy to talk about doing stuff, and you skate through your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, you start feeling it a little bit. You start creeping in the late 40s, and the old body doesn't. It's not forgiving as it used to be internally or externally. So yeah, but I was talking to Louis about his amazing transformation, and via he's a San Diego boy. That's where I grew up in that same area too, Point Loma. We were talking a lot of old band stories and stuff. But yeah, man, it's going to be a challenge. But for me, 8 pounds in 10 days, I guess that's not horrible. I was.
But I didn't know Louis' prognosis. Was he diabetic?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I believe so.
And
I believe he was
now
type 2. Type 2.
Now he's off
not.
his meds, right? He's
Yep.
off all the meds and everything. So
100%. Yep.
like they'll tell you diabetes is not reversible, but I'm no doctor, but maybe
Oh, it is.
Maybe
It is.
You can definitely go into recession. What do they call
Remission.
it? Something remission, yeah, or something like. Let's imagine there's a thing called remission for diabetics.
Absolutely.
Then you can get yourself to that point.
No, I'm part of Facebook groups, and they've said absolutely. And my blood sugars, eating is huge. It's already doing great, and they gave me medicine. I took it after 3 days. I was getting nauseated every night, almost throwing up. Typical pharmaceutical crap. So now I'm taking some natural stuff. It's perfectly normal on the numbers. My vision's still a little blurry, but that's going to take a while to come back. But I knew it, and I just I let myself get out of shape, and I took it for granted. And now I'm back in the saddle and working out again and everything else. So when you see me next time, hopefully I'll be about maybe another 40 pounds lighter and getting it all out of the belly and getting it back up in the guns.
Yep. I'll tell you what happened to me, Josh. I was 35, getting a little bit podgy. But is podgy a word you guys use, or is that an English word?
Podgy is definitely a word. Absolutely.
Okay.
Meaning, getting a little on the fluffy, pudgy.
Had a
little pounds.
Ollie calls it squidgy. Everywhere I go, he squeezes my ass and says it's squidgy, right? Like you lose, right? So he's just got me on I've just got to, if I want to stop him from squeezing my belly and squeezing my backside, I've just got to lose the weight, right? There's only one way to do it. He ain't giving up. So he goes, why are you so fat? And I mean, I'm only 10% over normal body weight, right? But for him, as a 12-year-old, dad's fat.
Right.
So he's seeing it for what it is. I'm seeing it in context compared to other guys. But what happened to me when I was 35 was the first time I went overseas, maybe. Right. Anyway, so it was 2000. So maybe I was a bit older. But I went to China for the first time on a buying trip, and I looked at everybody, and everybody was skinny. Like it's not the same now. Like there are fat people in China now, but 2000, everybody was skinny, and I was going, hang on, I thought as you got older, you got fatter. I completely accepted how fat I was because I was getting older. And then I go to Asia, and you go, this is bullshit.
And how do they get away with eating all the rice? I mean, I guess it's the fish and everything, but because I love rice, and of course, I heard jasmine rice is better.
If they eat pasta or potato, they'll fatten up. That's what's happening. They're eating the
carbs,
fattening up. Yeah.
But the sushi, because Chinese food, I mean, I don't picture it as particularly healthy. I've never had it in China. I've never had that pleasure of sitting around the Lazy Susan. I've heard stories, it's just orange chicken and all teriyaki crap, all, teriyaki Japanese. You know what I'm getting at. You go to the Chinese buffet.
Teppanyaki is Japanese, bro.
Teppanyaki, exactly. Yeah, I love some Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese.
Chinese is chicken feet and
chicken feed. I've had some interesting stuff on some of the cold China. I've been to some real authentic places in San Diego where, you go to the cold bar where they've got like the kidneys and the tongue and just all kinds of stuff. Of course, I don't know if have you ever had lengua tacos, Mexican food? It's tongue tacos. and
No.
it's delicious.
Oh God. We do eat tongue, like the Koreans eat tongue. So when we go to a Korean barbecue, we get a plate of tongue pretty much all the time. But I'll tell you what Ollie does. If we catch a fish, right, and we get it cooked on the barbecue or whatever, or we go to a place and there's a snapper or whatever, he bloody gets the eyeball out and bloody eats that and spits out the middle. It's like a bloody.
I did
It's
that
like
on a dare one time when I was about 13 years old, and my stepdad dared me to do it. I think he said he'd give me $2, and I ate the fish eyeball. It wasn't bad, it's fish.
No.
It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, and then the best part of a fish is a little muscle in the cheek there, right? Most people just leave it because it's in the head, but there's actually a very, very tender little
I
muscle.
can see that. I bet. Yeah, I love.
That fish is going all day long, right? So it's a good muscle.
You wouldn't think it would be so tender. You'd think it'd be a lot tougher, but
right.
Yeah, we do the Korean buffet. There's unfortunately, there's not too much food I don't like. So at least I can get a good variety as long as I know it's not going to make me sick. So I'll go just about anywhere and try most things. Now, my buddy told me about dog intestine in China at the truck stop. I would not eat dog intestine. I couldn't do it. I don't know how to get past the thought, but chicken feet I've had.
Yeah, chicken feet's good. Look, in China, there's very little dog. There's only 2 provinces that dish up dog pretty much. Maybe some of the street food has been dog, but a lot of the street food's shut down.
And this was
now.
20 years ago. Yeah, and this was 20 years ago that he was over there.
Yeah, the street food was probably cat, dog, and rat, which, of course, not street rat, like not out of the sewers, but just bred rat,
Yeah,
bred dog.
I guess when you're, if you got to survive to eat whatever, and as long as it doesn't make you sick,
Well, they breed a particular dog for its taste, just like donkey or horse or venison or whatever. Like it's a rare. It's not your normal food, but there's actually a dog they breed to eat as compared to eating a Labrador. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Yeah. But every now and then, back then in 2000, even 2010, when I moved to China, every now and then you'd see a Labrador hanging somewhere.
You'd see it on the menu. Yeah.
Oh, you'd like somebody's just killed one somewhere. But anyway, it happened. But now it's way tighter. It takes a lot of time to control 1.6 billion people and
to make that change and the animal right. I know there has been a movement towards all of that, and it's good. Animals, come on, but pigs are super friendly too. So I guess it depends on the culture. A pig will, being on a farm, you can teach a pig. We'll get too close to the animals. We have to keep the cows that we don't want pets out in the pasture because they've got their own little personalities. And pigs, I'll tell you, they're smart. You can train them how to roll over and sit and almost like a dog. So I guess
if they didn't grow so big, they'd make amazing pets, right?
Yeah, true. They're more of an outdoor pet. If you choose to have them indoor, you're a special kind of person. Special kind of person has them inside.
Oh God. So Josh, let's talk a little bit of business, and then we'll meander back to travel and shit. But where did you start? How did you end up getting into like our industry, and then how did you end up getting into the Christmas lights area?
Well, I actually got into power washing as a result of the Christmas lights, but I've never been a power washer. I've worked with a lot of power washers, and I started a Christmas light business when I was, the first business I ever started was a boat and jet ski rental business. And I started that when I was 22 in San Diego started out of a warehouse. Second year, had a location at the Marriott Coronado Island, which is across from the bay from San Diego. And then
place in America anyway.
Oh, beautiful place, San Diego. And then I had another location, a hotel, and naturally, San Diego is more of a summertime only. It's not like Florida, South Florida, where you would have the year-round jet ski and boat rentals. So that said, it was. Can you hear okay with this music? Is that fine? Is the sound coming through okay?
You're okay. It's in the background.
My son was, he was trying to make it special. So, but anyway, did that, and the second year into that, I actually had a buddy that did Christmas lights, real successful guy now doing pop-up TVs, was kind of an innovator in that industry 25, 27 years ago. And he was going to be same age as me, 22. He was going to get rich doing some Dead Doctors Don't Lie, MLM, network marketing thing. So he sells me his list, gives me a 1-hour training. It was ridiculous. Don't wear rubber-soled shoes. This is how you unscrew a light bulb that's broken. And from there, man, it just kind of, the first year was hell. I mean, being in business for yourself and learning the hard way and learning A to Z by doing A to Z was not easy. And I was bidding jobs. I'd hung Christmas lights on my parents' house, and that was pretty much the extent of it. So, go out and start a business. We were charging $200 for jobs that should have been probably $800 or $1,000, and $400 for jobs that should have been $2,000. So it was a year of learning, and the second year was a little bit more learning, but we did get it down pretty well. And by the third year, me and my ex-brother-in-law are the ones that were doing this together, and we had it down pretty good. And that year we walked with about $50,000 each, but for a couple guys in their early 20s, profit for a 6 to 8 week period of 50 grand each. Hey, we go lay on the beach of Cabo, and then the next year and forward, we were consistently making a net profit of at least 150, 180 plus in that same period of time. And I, really built that up for about 6 years, sold that installations division, started focusing on what I do predominantly now. And of course, I've had several businesses in between, marketing company, fitness store, a few different things. But for the last 7 years, I've been back to my roots in training events, UAMCC, yes, about pressure washing. That might be one of the first events that I ever met you at, was the UAMCC events back in the day, which were a lot of fun. And I had a couple guys that were affiliates of mine. As you know, I think we have it's a licensing program similar to a franchise. So a couple of guys that I worked with got me involved with good old Ron Musgraves, good old Ron, and love him or hate him, he's Ron, and
he's Ron.
We get along just fine, but him and I do. But anyways, I got in that industry, just really dove in head first, man, and great group of guys. And I think probably 80% of the guys I work with now are pressure washers, and I think it's simply because of the fact that I got so vested in that industry, started attending events, speaking at events, huge convention, UAMCC, Jamie Schmidt, great guy. I do a training event with him every year.
Amazing guy. Yep.
Going to be doing one again this year in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And it's always a great time when we go. It's one of our favorite training events. My wife was at his trade show the last 2 years. I wasn't able to make it. Unfortunately, I'm going to hope to make it next year. But it was just one of those things where it's a really good group of people and it's a great fit. It's a great fit for landscaping too. That used to be one of our big industries that we would parallel with, was the landscaping, and then also pest control. Basically, any kind of business that slows down during the wintertime is an ideal candidate for us, because it enables them to, number one, make a good amount of money, but year by year, more and more, and also to keep staff and not have to continually replace people or keep those key people. And we all know, I mean, Jesus, it's so hard to get good people, and then to keep good people, it's tough if you got to lay them off for a few months, and it's tough if you got to pay them for sitting around just organizing the shop and and doing nothing. So it really is a great fit, and that's kind of become my passion, because at my age I've really decided I'm not going to do things I don't like doing, and I really enjoy training people. I like showing people how to make money and doing the promotional side of things. Everything else I kind of don't like. I don't like the day-to-day bull crap, and that goes along with it. But luckily, my wife, she got involved in the business 2 years ago, and she can handle that stuff along with our general manager. And I can do what I love, which is meeting people and training them how to be successful in the Christmas light business and other businesses as well. I do some consulting. I started doing some consulting with, I don't know if you know Shane Duffy. He's out of San Antonio. He knows who you are, but everybody knows you.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's a landscape lighting guy. Yeah, I would love to. He does. He's one of my affiliates, and I'm starting to do consulting with him, which I'm really enjoying. We had our first phone call today for growing his affiliate business similar to mine, in the landscape lighting. It's called Glow Geeks. So
Okay.
yeah, so he's excited about that, and I'm excited to be helping him. And yeah, a lot of good stuff going on. But that's kind of how it all started, and from there, just the rest. I still continue to be involved in the pressure washing industry, and everything's kind of evolving to where some of the trade shows are starting to get more about just business in general, like the huge convention. You're starting to see other industries there, and that's nice too. So
yeah, I agree completely. Let me ask you this, because I don't know who I was saying it to, maybe Harrison earlier this morning. I said, oh, no. Somebody asked me, Henry Bockman asked me, he's coming on, right? But he said, like, how do you talk for an hour? And I go, look, the young people see us as older, even at 50, they look at 50 and say, your 50's old, and we've been where they are, but they haven't been where we are. Right. So it's difficult, but it's a worthwhile sort of discussion for younger guys who might listen to older guys, to go, okay, so this is the, if I can imagine my future, I'm going to be that age one day, no car accidents, blah, blah, blah,
right.
So I'm going to be that age. And then, okay, so what can I do now that heads me towards that? And what can I not do now that takes away, like in particular the health thing, right? Is that Benji drinks loads of sugar and stuff like that. So Ben, just stop, right? You now likes that sugar. You later is going to end up with diabetes, So
yeah. And you're right, man. I mean, remember when you're 20, 30, you think like 50's old as shit.
I was Coca-Cola and Cherry Ripe every day, all day. That's what I ate. Coca-Cola, Cherry Ripe. Coca-Cola, Cherry Ripe. Go.
Oh yeah, and you think you're gonna live forever, and and 50 so old, and you get to 50, and you're like, man, I really don't feel much different, except that I do feel like I know a little bit more, and it's a little bit harder to wake up in the morning if you stay out too late at night. So, otherwise, I mean, you get there, and it's like, I remember the days that I was talking about, the boat rental days and the old days, and the being out in the field and in the trenches, and a lot of people going around now, which I think is ridiculous, are, oh man, people that train or people that can't do it. It's like, what kind of statement is that? I just laugh at that. And like people that aren't involved in the business anymore shouldn't be training. It's like, what? I mean, if I had an installs business still, I'm one of the only ones that doesn't. In fact, the only one that does training. And I'm one of the originators with the training. I towed that freaking tiny house across the United States for 3 months straight while we homeschooled the kids, which was a great adventure and also a hell of a lot of work. And two 11-year-old and a 13-year-old fighting in the back of a truck, and but anyways, I kind of lost a little bit where I was going with that, but just reminiscent about, like, you do have to get in the trenches, but then to get out and show people how to do things, it's nice to be out of the trenches. So when they call me, like if I still had an installs business, man, it's an intense business. I'd be on the phone and putting out fires for everything else. Instead, me and my staff, and me specifically, I can answer questions and give that ongoing support. But it does seem like just yesterday that I was, stepping in dog crap in the middle of the night, working too late, climbing up ladders, in San Diego, California on a blustery 40-degree night. But hey, in San Diego, when it gets to be 40 degrees, that's cold. Guys from the East Coast will laugh at it. But hey, it gets a little, that marine layer comes in, it's moist, it's dark and it's cold. But yeah, I can really relate. And I think that people just have to realize you do, man, time is so valuable. And the faster it goes by, the harder, when you hear people talking about, I hustle and I do this and I work 70, 80 hours a week. And that's okay sometimes, in my opinion, to do that, but not for years on end. I mean, I worked hard and put systems into place. The most successful business I ever had was a marketing company that did $6.4 million in sales. Second year we were in business, I was 32, and I did work every day for about 11 months straight, and it was worth it though. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed being out there. I had 500 over 500 part-time employees, 30 full-time employees. I did have a business partner at the time that I brought in because I needed the help. But it was, man, the adrenaline rush was great, but I never could have continued that, and I wouldn't have wanted to, because the beautiful thing was during that time, I'm very much a systems-oriented person, and we set up systems, wrote everything down, protocols for everything. Going to the damn bathroom, man, there was a protocol for it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, not literally, but pretty much to that extent. It's like almost everything there was. And I've always been a firm believer in that because I believe that every business should be an asset, and building it up, you're eventually going to sell it. But also, it was great because after busting butt for that long, we were enjoying making $600,000-700,000 a year each at that time, which was, you know, better than I'm making right now. Look back on it here, and it was great because the day consisted of meetings. You know, we went to the gym in the morning, we got coffee, we were at the office at 8, meetings with the sales department, the operations department, the recruiting department, and it was a marketing company for home builders. And then 2-hour lunch at noon, home at 3 with the kids, sometimes 2. And it was great because we worked hard. So that hustle is worth it, but don't hustle your life away because that's not worth it. And especially when your kids are little, but as you know, your kids need you as much when they're older as when they're little in reality too. I always thought like, hey man, my kids need me here. Dude, when they're teenagers, they almost need you even more, especially the way this day and age, you know? Yeah. So, but
because here's the thing, there's so much, if you're not homeschooling, the education system is going to try and influence your kids in a different direction than your values as a rule, right? Because they're trying to create a socioeconomic
indoctrination.
change.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
bad.
I mean, like very rarely would you hear the word revolution, right? In the West, right? But we hear the word the Cultural Revolution under Mao Zedong for China. And what he did is not the first time anybody's done it, but basically there was a cultural revolution where millions of people got killed, right? Because they were part of the old regime, the emperor,
and this was in China?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the principle is, in order for there to be a cultural revolution, a new culture, the old culture must die. Now, whether that means people die or people get changed, you know, but basically the old values, the old thinking, the old religions, the old everything. You know, you look at what's happening in Ukraine now. The Orthodox Church has been banned, and priests are being put in jail if they stay, you know, affiliated with it. And then a new religion got started, you know, and so that's the Ukraine Orthodox religion, but it's state-backed religion, you know. So what we don't know, what's happening to us slowly, and it's the boiling of the frogs kind of story, is that there's a cultural revolution going on, and it starts with your kids. Like, why did Pepsi get Michael Jackson? Because they thought 10 years later the next generation would be Pepsi drinkers, not Coke drinkers. Now he got shot down, right or wrong, true or false, but he got taken out exactly at the point where that would have made a massive difference between Coke and Pepsi. Yeah,
absolutely. And you're right. And it starts with the culture and starts with the kids. I watched a movie that I'm sure you've seen. I've been watching some old stuff on Netflix. I watched The Killing Fields, which of course is about the Cambodian revolution. Yep. And man, that was ugly. And 3 million people were killed. And you probably know a lot about the history because for years and years, they said they had refugee camps of children still set up because they went after the kids. And I don't know if you've seen the movie or not, but I'm sure you've heard the history of it. And they turned the kids against the parents, and they turned the kids to worship the government and told them there is no God. And, you know, it started with the kids, and the kids were turning in parents and beating parents. And it was a great, true story.
The Nazi youth did the same. Hitler did the same.
Yeah,
Ukraine,
and they do the same in America through the books.
Ukraine is doing the same. They've got an app where you can dob in your neighbor, you can dob in your parents. You know, if they're supporting Russian or speaking Russian or whatever. Like, it's all happening in real time right now.
Well, and there's some crazy stuff going on with pornography being allowed in schools here. My sister's real involved. No, she's pretty political, but and I try to stay not that way so much in business, but personal wise, it's different. And you know, she did a big part of getting.
It's got to be neutral because it's not.
You do exactly, and it doesn't need to be involved in business, and religion doesn't either. You know, you have your beliefs, and we'll have that, and you know, discuss with your friends or your close business associates. Yeah. But you know, it's a real deal. You know, pornography in school, some of the stuff you'd be amazed. And my kids, they've been homeschooled since COVID not because of COVID. We had no fear of that at all. It was just, you know, it was a time, and we were in East Texas, and we did what we needed to do, but but it was more of just, they got out of that routine, and my kids are a little different anyways. They don't fit right inside the molded box, so to speak. My 16-year-old for the last 2 years been working in the warehouse. Last year, he ran my Dallas will call with another guy that was a little older, just to be there with him. It was 23, but he was the boss, and he was running it. He was running the orders. I got to where I didn't even have to worry about showing up at the office for the will call, because if I had other things going on, because he's handling it. So they're getting, he does his homeschool, he does his online stuff. The 19-year-old has already been through, graduated, but they're on a different path. But they're learning. They're going to be probably entrepreneurs. I don't push them in any particular direction, but it just looks like it. They are. They're always getting their hands in something, wanting to do something, and they're just. For me, college, man, I don't really. I think college is good for people that want to be an engineer, a teacher, an attorney, a doctor. I call it like a trade school of college, but otherwise, college can be a good experience. I didn't go. I dropped out of high school when I was junior year, moved to California, and I just simply didn't want to go my senior year. My mom begged me to move to California. I didn't want to go a new high school senior year. So that said, I did get my GED. I went to community college. And then I got accepted to the University of Oklahoma, drove out there. Some units weren't going to transfer. I was paying for my old school. I was like, forget it. Something in my gut just said, drive back. And man, I started a jet ski rental business that very spring or that next summer. And I was like, man, this is it. I'm not, I don't want to go back to school. I considered going back maybe to get a law degree because I thought it'd be helpful in business. But I just, for some people, and it's like my wife is highly educated. She has her master's in autism. She comes from a very highly educated family of third generation Nazarene pastors that all went, seminary for 4 years and master's education. And you got us, and we're always butting heads. But I'm trying to convince her it's okay, because not everybody, I don't want him to just sit around being bums and, maybe the night doing a little bit more of that he should be. I got to get him a little motivated, but different paths for different people. And that's what leads these experiences, are what leads us to the people that you are today, and that I am. And I try to say, hey, it'll turn out okay. There's nothing wrong with being, an entrepreneur. Is one of the best things in the world to be. It's one of the, it's one of the hardest things I've never had, to be honest. Like, I've never been that guy that's had to eat like ramen noodles out of the back seat of my Toyota, but I have had situations where I've been damn near close to broke. I've been laying at the ceiling staring and, wondering what I'm going to do. And the stress level, no doubt, is high. But I think people go through that to different degrees, and you hit a certain point. For me, it was around the age of 30, and I was like, man, there's no way I could ever work for somebody else again. Yeah. Before that, I'd be like, damn, man, I should just be a sales rep. I make a few $100,000 a year, not worry about the bullshit. I'm sure you've been there. But, you hit a certain point, and you're like, oh, no way. Even if it was a pretty flexible job, couldn't do it. I don't want to build somebody else's asset up to. I want to build my own. And that's what one of my big things is. And I know you've probably talked about it with other people, is that your business should be an asset, not a job. And in order to do that, it takes delegation. It takes a lot of things. And it's okay to have a job as a bit, as your business is a job, but it's even better when you do things properly. And that's what I try to help people do, so that at their exit, they can sell and then go on to do the next thing, or maybe sell and retire, so.
Yep. Or you build something and your kids can run it, and,
Absolutely. Love that thought too. Family business, still got to establish who's dad's still the boss until he dies or whatever. But you got to still have the boss, but
that's the thing.
Let them build upon the generational. That's what I love, seeing family businesses like that.
Yeah, and sometimes you see as family business. Like, I've got a friend of mine, when I first moved to China, I moved with a company called Ecotherm. That company is maybe 140 years old.
Wow.
Like, the guy, his great-great-great-grandfather maybe, or something like that, started it. But he started it in bloody blacksmithing or something, hammering horseshoes or something.
And I love stories like that.
And now
take it on and successful with it.
Yeah, Herbert's got it. Now it's the world's leading heat exchange solar thermal company, right? Installed in the Burj Khalifa, installed in the Mecca Towers, installed in the Grosvenor Towers, installed in like the most expensive buildings in the world. Choose Ecotherm,
Yeah,
So
it's amazing some of the things that can be done, and it does take generations sometime to do it.
yeah,
You know, you
yeah,
always run the risk of like family hating each other and stuff like that. So you hope that never happens, but
yeah,
it can work out great. I mean, Enterprise is a company that I used to have a buddy that was a vice president there and sat down with the owners and stuff on a regular basis. And they're one of the largest companies in the world that's family owned and operated privately. And a lot of them do make it work. And again, I think that's cool when people can come in and take it to the next level. And I think I like those stories where, you know, he started out, sweeping the floor in the warehouse, even if it's just a little bit of an exaggerated term, but you know, working their way up, and the people that the parents that had the belief of more like, you know, I want to put my son or daughter down in the pits and let them learn this, because
yeah,
you're doing them a disservice if you don't, because they need to know all that stuff. I mean, I could go back any day of the week. It's funny, you watch that show. I don't know, I'm sure you've watched it, Undercover Millionaire.
yeah,
And sometimes
yeah,
you've seen that show. They go in, they're undercover, and they dress up all in these big corporations. And sometimes, which can happen, and could happen to anybody, you kind of forget like some of the basic stuff. Like you might have been a great waiter at one time. Now you own the chain of 500 restaurants. If you went back to waiting tables, you'd be a disaster. And that's kind of the positions they put them in. But I think a lot of us that are in business can go back to those times and think about it, and and have it in our head, and those challenges that we faced. And it shows a lot for other people, when you're especially proving to yourself. I mean, that's really what matters the most. Who cares what the other people think? Just
yep,
prove it to yourself and do it for yourself, and then set your own challenges. And I've learned to be that way more in my latter years, and not be
yes.
so concerned about what other people are thinking, and just kind of doing my own thing, and it works. You persevere that way.
What age do you reckon that cuts in?
Man, I would say that's in your 40s. I really
Right?
think so. Yeah, I do. I tell people, like, I don't give a fuck. It's like, excuse my language, but I'll tell my kids, once you
Exactly.
start hitting older ages, you enjoy embarrassing your kids. And I wasn't
Yeah,
always that way, because I'd get a little embarrassed too. No, I don't
yeah,
care. I've been married
yeah.
for 27 years. I mean, I'm not trying to, it's still, when I walk in business, of course, I still want to try to be impressive. And
Oh God,
part of
yes.
that is getting back in shape and all that stuff. But as far as like just in general, it takes a long time to get that. And I think a lot of people are also like, you start feeling to all these older, these goats out there like us. A lot of people make a crap ton of money in their 50s and in early 60s, and I've talked to a lot of people that have been like that and had some of their most successful years, because they learned so much in the years
Yeah,
prior, and it changed
yeah.
who they were. But for me, honestly, I'd say, yeah, I mean, for me personally, it really took more like to the 40s, to where I just kind of got away, and it kind of around the same time that I also got away from stemming so much on I use the word stemming, but I think Learjet money, or having to have a 75-foot yacht and a
All
Ferrari.
that. Yes.
Yeah, now I got a nice tri-tune boat on the lake. It's plenty. I've got an F-350 King Ranch. I love it. That's all the truck I ever need. But I'd like to fly a Learjet, and I probably will one of these days. But do I need to own one and have all the headaches and responsibility? No. Go out on a
No.
Sport Fisher charter. You went on an awesome boat for 5
Yeah.
days. That's
Yeah.
the kind of stuff I think about now is doing some nice vacations that don't have to be extravagant,
that-
like you did.
That
Just
costs.
beautiful
I'll tell you
scenery.
how much. I'll tell you how much that costs. With Nitrox, 5 days, 5 nights with Nitrox, and what else? And a dedicated guide, because Ollie can only go down to 70 feet or something, right?
Okay, right.
It's still a long way down.
That is, yeah.
It's still 7. It's still 7 stories deep.
That's not
you know?
scuba or snorkeling. Yeah, that's deep.
But that
What was
cost
Yeah, what was the cost of that? I was curious. I wanted to ask you about that.
$2,000.
That's amazing. I mean, and it
Food
looked like you guys just.
food,
I saw a
private
little video. That was
4
awesome.
dives a day. Yeah, I'm putting the videos together now. Like I'm busy at the moment, but so I'm trying to get the time to stitch all the videos together from underwater. Because we saw some crazy stuff, octopus and turtles and beautiful fish.
That's what I'm talking about. That's like, I know I got to do some vacations to big cities because my wife still does love big cities. She wants to go to New York, and
No way.
I mean,
Well, if you want the
maybe
best,
I want to be in the
if
nature, but I got to compromise. You know,
if you want the best big city, I mean, Tucker Carlson will tell you it's Moscow because he hasn't been to Shanghai.
I would love to go to Moscow, but Shanghai is awesome.
The best big city experience, I promise you, in the world is Shanghai. It's you can go in the underground. There's a train every 3 minutes that carries 1,600 people, right? No, there's no pushing people in or anything like that. It's totally clockwork.
Right.
Everything's safe and it's totally clean. And then you come out of the new lines, when you come up out of the underground, it looks like you're going into Disneyland. It's all LED displays and just blowing your mind with 3D shit, right? And
is that Malaysia? Is Shanghai Malaysia or is that China?
No, China.
Okay.
China.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
27 million people live there.
Wow. And see, that's what I would love. I mean, you think is it safe to go there?
Oh God, yes. Completely.
Compared to New York City, right?
Oh, completely. You'll see girls walking home in alleyways drunk and, just walking hand in hand, 22 years old. Never a fear. No rape, no steal your shoes, no steal your bag, no harass you even. Like it's just
that sounds awesome. And you've told me a lot about Thailand and Asia, and I've always been intrigued by Asia, and I just never was going to go back in the day, and then just didn't make it over. And I can't wait to go. I really can't, because I know that I'm going to love that culture, the people, the beautiful scenery, and just also being in something so different. Different. Yeah, because Vietnam, I'd love to see the history in Cambodia now that it's not communist. It's not communist now, and Vietnam.
Well, Vietnam is formally communist, but it's the same as China. It's a capitalist. It's capitalist
society, right?
With communist.
But Cambodia is not communist anymore. Is it?
No, I don't think so. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Like the whole story about communism in a capitalist, when a capitalistic communist, that it basically means that the government is a autocratic government that's there to serve the people, but the people can still rebel against the government. Like so
it's almost like pseudo communism. It's like a mixed hybrid of it or something.
There are three great leaders of China. Mao Zedong, like in the modern China, right? For all the things they did wrong, our guys also did things wrong. Like we just killed 1 million people in Iraq in our lifetime, right?
Right.
So like we can't just shoot everybody for the shit that governments do. But Mao Zedong was the founder of the revolution of China and the rebirthing of China. And then there's a guy called Deng Xiaoping who was in power in the 1980s. And then there's Xi Jinping now, right? He's the third guy who's done amazing revolutionary stuff for a country. And there's Ataturk in Turkey, and there's the guy who Ho Chi Minh for Vietnam, and there's guys all over the world who in their lifetime have transformed a nation, But Deng Xiaoping is the guy who opened China to the West and did the deals for the commercialization of China and the factory mentality of China.
Okay.
And he said, he's got an amazing speech which is worth reading, but he said that the government must serve the people, right? The people must follow the government, but if the people change, the government must change. Otherwise, you have a revolution. So if
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So you watch. China ran COVID zero until the people said we don't want COVID zero, right? And then the government said, well, okay, it's your call. We're not going to have a revolution over COVID zero,
Right.
We'll just say we're no longer COVID zero, and you guys work it out. You live or you die. We don't know, right? We just
figure it right.
We just know that it's possible to make a virus that is race centric.
Sure it is. I mean, it's amazing some of the stuff behind science. And I've been watching a lot of movies lately on Netflix. A lot of them are documentaries, and it was about the science in like DuPont factory with Teflon, and how great movie, great attorney, true story. But just, man, it is. God, corruption goes at so many levels, and they don't care if they're killing people. They were self-regulated. People died. People were born with noses on their cheek with one nostril, eyes separated like this far out, and they knew about this stuff happening, but that gets just getting into corruption. And unfortunately, I think that most government, it's hard to find good straight, not corrupt government. In history, a lot of people don't necessarily believe it, but history does have a habit of repeating itself. Like happened. And I know this isn't what we're really here talking about, but you were talking about something. You said regentrification, or you wanted it to, for some reason, like kind of getting on China. Because is there like a movement now, like was it regentrification, or like it seemed like there was something going on? Because you said that's why you wanted to get to Thailand with your son and
stuff. My concern is that the US is poking the panda, with Taiwan and Philippines. They're going to proxy.
And you even look like Caucasian or US, or you could be from Australia, US. They get you mixed up in your.
Just think about Five Eyes, bro. Like we're guilty by association.
Okay, and that's what some of the distributors here are saying. They're like, the biggest threat now. Oh, you don't worry about COVID. Is like the smart guys that are politically so like, yeah, you never know when something could happen, and you might not make it back for that.
Yeah, no, you'll always make it back. That historically, well, right now there's no evidence anywhere, because we would hear it as expats. We would hear that there's some pressure or whatever. So right now there's none, because China's philosophy. China's not poking America. America's poking China.
Right.
So China knows that diplomacy. Let everybody be who they are. Let them have their culture. Let them have their religion. Let them have their way of life. Let them have their clothing style. Let them have their, like porn is blocked in Thailand. Here it's blocked in China. It's blocked, and then you've got your Facebook, YouTube blocked in some countries, and Rumble is blocked in some countries, and but just let them run their countries the way they want to run their countries, with their population and their culture and their values and their religions and all that. So China's that way. So they're not trying to make a problem for America. They're trying to encourage America to stop making a problem for us.
Got it. Well, you're kind of an adventurer. Well, you are an adventurer type anyways. You strike me as that personality, always have. So you probably like living in different places over the course of your life, just to explore it. And that's kind of how I am. It's like, man, it's just I've lived in between California and Texas for about half my life in each place, and I'm ready to get out and check out other cultures. And I'll definitely be coming to see you in Thailand for. Hopefully we'll end up moving there, but I think we're planning on coming for at least 4 to 5 months.
That's all. That's all you need is just come, and I'll tell you how to do the visa thing so you can stay that long, and then, it's just eye-opening. Phuket is an interesting island. It's an island with a basically, 300-foot separation. It's not like an island that's way out at sea. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like and it's a big peninsula too, as far as Thailand.
It's basically a peninsula with where the water went through on either side of it. Right.
Because my friend was telling me it's about, if you were to drive from Bangkok to Phuket, it's about a 10 or 12 hour drive. Correct. But if you're just going across the island, it's a couple hours. Across the peninsula, it's a couple hour drive.
20 minutes.
Minutes. So it's like a skinnier, way longer Florida. It's kind of what it's just
tiny. And it's about, from one end to the other is about hour and 20, hour and 30, something like that by car, and you're not traveling fast because it's congested. And then to go from one side to the other is 20 minutes.
Okay, got it.
But one side of it is incredibly tourist oriented.
Of Phuket.
Yeah, of Phuket. So if you go to Patong, Karon, Kata, like that side, the west,
Hard Rock Cafe, Planet Hollywood, Wax Museum,
ping pong balls, right? All the stuff,
all the adult stuff too, right? For the sailors that go over there.
There's a walking street, which is insane. Well, it was more insane in the old days. It's not. It's a bit tame now compared to the old days, but But the other side is just village and professional and like Thai. It's
Right.
much more time.
Yeah, no, and that's obviously I don't. It's kind of like going to New Orleans. Hey, go check out Bourbon Street, see what it's all about. Then the rest of the time, go to the jazz district where it's all the more kickback, live music.
Exactly.
No matter where you're at in New Orleans, you're gonna have. There's always going to be some sort of a party, but it just gets. I get what you're saying, and I much prefer. I'll check out the other, just kind of seeing them, but I'm hanging out. I'm hanging out in the more kickback places.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you come for 3 or 4 months, firstly you can go to the mountains, right? Chiang Mai.
Oh, absolutely.
You can go to Bangkok and see the city. You can go across to the other side, Pattaya and stuff like that. Like there's all sorts of places you can go
in
to.
Vietnam, Cambodia. I mean, you said those were like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Yeah.
Yep, hour and 20 minutes to those guys. And then what I would suggest is you rent an apartment here the size that you want, and you make that your base, so you don't have to drag all your stuff everywhere. When you go somewhere, you don't have to drag everything everywhere, right? So you have a base, and you like you would now, and you take off and you go and do this, and you come back and all your stuff's there. Then you wash.
And I'll tell you the advantages of being, they call it expats. A lot of people are retired. I'm just an American moving to, Mexico is another place, Cancun, Tulum. And what's a little more convenient about that is the time zone difference, obviously, but we discussed it's doable. Just like, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, just about there. Yeah. And it's on 9 o'clock at night here in Texas. But, and not everybody can do that. In fact, most people that I think of cannot do that. So that's why I was telling my wife, I'm like, look, you've got this amazing place. They speak English, which I don't mind. Spanish is easier to pick up. I speak more Spanish definitely than I've ever spoke a word of Thai. But you start looking at stuff, and I was like, it's hard to believe it, even after talking to you and my friend Jerry, and they got another. My brother-in-law has a really good friend that lives in somewhere on the coast, not Phuket, but somewhere in Thailand. So I started looking at like the Korean barbecue restaurant, and it's literally like the food prices are like a third of what it is. Yeah. And I don't even know what it looks like at the grocery store, but I know I looked at like the Hyatt Regency eggs Benedict with hash browns and coffee was like $8.50. What's that going to run you in the equivalent of like San Diego or any big city? Probably $26 easily. So the cost, and then the housing. I was looking at that. You told me about your place, and the nice thing is I can be anywhere in the world, have my computer in a webcam and a phone connection. In the airport, because for my training events, that's the only caveat. Like we have to figure our training season is August through October, but that's okay. August, September, October, come back, stay in our lake house, our fifth wheel. We have 43 fifth wheel, so I'm really excited after talking to you. I was fired up, man. I wouldn't stop talking about it for a while. My wife's like, "Okay, I'm convinced. So you stop talking about it." Like I can't help it. I'm like, look at it. I'm acting like I'm a waiter going through the menu. I'm like, okay, that whole meal, appetizer, dessert, salad, it was like $18 for something that would have been like $45 here. So it's a real thing for people that can do it.
Most restaurant meals, like once you settle in a place and you get used to it, and you start finding restaurants that are still, they're registered restaurants. I'm not talking about street food. Street food's like another quarter of the price again. But just at restaurants like Ollie and I, we would, if we had a full meal, I had 2 or 3 beers. He has a Coke and 2 soda waters, and we're full. We $8 each.
Which is amazing. I mean, and it's hard to fathom, but I looked at it. I saw. Yeah. So, and again, not many people are in, I guess we'd say, to where you can enjoy an American income that income, which yours is like a lot of your business, obviously in the United States, predominantly, I'm assuming. And be able to do that. And then taxes are a whole different situation, but that gets in a whole other thing where you have to renounce your citizenship and, there's a few other things, but I know expats that have done that, not personally, but I've heard on podcasts and different things.
It's a difficult process, I've heard, but
and I don't know if I would want to fully renounce my citizenship, or I would definitely be interested in dual citizenship, which is a lot. Well, in Thailand, I heard it's impossible, but in Mexico, it's pretty easy. But Thailand,
you don't need to be a citizen, because you can be like in Thailand. As soon as you're 50, you can get a retirement visa. You've got to have $35,000 in the bank for 2 months, and then they give you a retirement visa. You renew it once a year, or you give them $40,000 for I think for 15 or 20-year visa.
Okay.
And you just buy.
So there's
what's
plenty of
called
ways that
VIP.
you don't need to be a resident. It doesn't matter.
No.
You're not trying to vote, so it's like, what's the, So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyways, I really, like I said, I enjoyed the stories about that, and just again, I'm just really realizing that, man, it is a reality. It's like it is, and
it changes,
looking forward to
Josh. The thing it changes a lot is the math, right, of what you need to start enjoying life. Because if
we
you're
were
going to
talking about that.
in the States, you've got to need at least $2,000 a week, like after taxes,
least.
like take home,
At
least. But here,
with the way my kids eat, yeah, probably
right?
2,500 a week. By the time you're including
before,
rent, everything,
plus your fun. But here, we couldn't spend $2,000 a week.
Well, yeah, and with my bad back and the health stuff over there, and just trying, even with this diabetes crap, trying to get, because I have for the first time, like we switched over to an HMO for the first time ever, set up a PPO. Well, it's okay, and it's a good route to go because you only pay like for major expenses. But the problem is that you've got to go to the primary doctor, and then you can't go and see a specialist until you get their graces, and they put the wrong name on my card, so now I got to jump to this. So what did I do? I just went and paid a doctor that was more like holistic, like $600, which is pretty damn expensive just for a doctor's visit compared to what would be over there. And then I got what I needed and got some good stuff out of it. But there, you're talking. You gave me an example of the healthcare with your son going through that whole deal, and it's just those are the things that you love.
Whole broken leg, 3 casts, 4 appointments at the hospital. The ambulance, the man carrying of the guy on the stretcher, which America would have charged $1 million for, the 4-wheel drive that drove him from the bush, from the jungle where they could get the 4-wheel drive out to the ambulance. That whole thing over 10 weeks was $1,400, no insurance.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. I was telling my wife about that because we've had a lot of, our son does motocross stuff too and rides, and so there's always injuries. So of course, if you have insurance, you see the bills though, and it's like $25,000 for a hospital visit, and just because my diabetes care, I just got the bill on that, and it was like ridiculous. One day, I think I was in the hospital for like 2 hours, not even admitted. I think the bill's like $8,500. I never even made it into a room, But I'm out of pocket, of course. I only have to pay like $1,200 or something, but still,
that was
$1,200 for less than 2 hours, and doing a little EKG just to make sure you're not having a stroke and this and that. So I could go on and on and on for hours.
Well, my buddy, about 5 years ago, my buddy's dad had a triple bypass, beating heart, not because they can shut down the heart and do the bypass and then turn the heart back on.
Right.
But this is a beating heart, which is a senior surgeon. You've got to have a senior surgeon for a beating heart.
Knows what they're doing. Yeah, keeping you going live while you're going. Yeah.
Right. And 14 days, private room in the hospital. This is in China. No insurance. $15,000.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's amazing. I heard that. I've been watching.
And 5 years later, he's still alive. Right.
Yeah,
so
that's where. Well, I was going to say. I've been watching some stuff on YouTube, following some of these people that move around some or go to these different places. Thailand is known for their state of the art. They specifically mentioned Thailand as known for their state-of-the-art medical, and they mentioned affordable as well, but they very good hospitals, like some of the top hospitals that you can go to. So
and they've done it so much that you can actually get a medical visa, so you can make a decision. You're going to get all your teeth replaced. Well, that takes time because you pull the teeth out, then you got to wait 6 months for the bone to fill in the hole,
right? And then go and get your
and then you can go and get your posts and all that shit put on. Well, so you can get a visa, for I don't know, let's say 1 year, to get your
for medical.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Which really is cool.
And then the other one which we did, Harrison got me onto it with a blood guy, and a blood guy tested me like all my bloods, all the mature male blood levels. And then most things are in range. A couple of things are out of range. But he says, this is a guy who specializes in optimization. He goes, like, the idea is not to be in range. The idea is to be optimal. So then he puts me on all these vitamins and testosterone injections once every 2 weeks, you know, and he just, and then I go back and he does the bloods again. He says, okay, well, this is all optimal, but, you know, because you're fat, your testosterone's your testosterone is being turned into estrogen or progesterone or whatever. So we need a blocker to stop that from happening. So your testosterone's giving you your manliness.
You're not getting the man boobs, and you're right.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny you mentioned, you know, the optimal level is a lot different from the acceptable ranges. You might look at the ranges, and it's what you don't realize is they're comparing against a lot of people that are in there getting tested, and a lot of sick people. You're like, oh man, I'm right in the range on my cholesterol or this or whatever. But it could be far from optimal, you know, because that range is kind of like how they do, you know, the test scores when they do it based on a curve or whatever.
Yeah,
it's kind of similar. It's like, well, the standard's set pretty low, so that's great. I mean, it's great that you're seeing a doctor like that actually can look into that and go optimal. You know,
that cost for the blood test and the interview, that costs 16,000, or the second one cost 12,000, which might be easier. It's like $400.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, for that kind of workup, that kind of blood work, the consultation. I mean, and for somebody that's skilled at that level, I mean, that's you know, that's an hourly. That's what for a doctor, if you went to a whole, because in the United States, that would be a holistic doctor. You could find some MDs that are in the middle and they do a little bit of both, but they're not going to be covered on your insurance because they're not going to get paid the measly $80 an hour that the insurance pays them or whatever, because they're not just, you know, I'm imagining he probably spent some time with you. They're not just shuffling you in, shuffling you out, typing it in like you're auto coming in. Okay, let's put it in here. He's got a runny nose. He's got a little bit of redness in his eyes. Blah, blah, blah. Let's prescribe him this. You know, it's got these side effects. You know, the blood pressure medicine within 3 days, like I said, it was making me want to throw up. So I quit taking it, and I took a natural thing called Sugar Defense, and it's worked out really good. And I'm not nauseated and throwing up. So it's so important. And I've always, that's Eastern medicine style. You know, and that's where that comes from. And I know they have the hospitals in emergency situations. Western medicine definitely comes into play, and you need it for certain things. But with what you're talking about, it's great, number one, being where you're at, because that's where you hear, like, when you have a doctor in the United States like that, they come from a school of Eastern medicine, and it's like, you know, a Chinese name or something, or something like that. So anyways, it's good. Like you said, tell your wife it's a health trip. You know, it's all about getting out there, and $9 massages. Come on. I mean, those who get her nails done. I'm sure nails are like $9. That's I'd be going every day, literally. That'd be breakfast, coffee, coffee, breakfast, a little bit of emails and stuff. Had to get the massage and get decompressed for the day and start the day off right every day.
They've got a place here in Shalong Bay. I haven't been to it yet, but it's got the ice bath. You know how everybody's into the ice bath?
Yeah, that's the big thing now, the cold plunge.
You can get the sauna and the ice bath, and the sauna and the ice bath. I'm not man enough yet.
Self-care, man. Oh, those ice baths, they're brutal, but you definitely want something like a hot sauna or something. I
saw Justin Noggle get into his, and I go, "Oh my god, that is brutal."
Gluttony for punishment, man. It's supposed to be super healthy, and I guess if you can do it and grin and bear it, the first 5 seconds are probably the hardest, and then you just go, "No."
Well, it didn't look like any of it got any easier with Justin.
Just getting chilled to the bones. That's funny.
So, but good for weight loss, and then I bought one of those vibrating machines, right? They go like that. You stand on them.
Yeah, the ones that vibrate your feet.
It's like
the lip system going and stuff.
And it gets all your fat wobbling, and then you go, "Oh my god!"
Oh yeah.
That
you got one of those things that goes around your waist.
Oh yeah, there's one on your waist, but this one you stand on, and you can do push-ups on it and all that, because it triggers it fires everything up because it's doing so
vibrating your whole body, hitting all the neurons and stuff.
Yeah, but Ollie just laughs so much because, like, any bit of you that's fat just wobbles like crazy, and he goes, "See, like, that's how fat you are," you know.
I'd have to wait a little bit on that one. I think I have to wait maybe 2 more months. They go that
But
route.
then all your skin's gonna get loose, right? So you're gonna
I
wobble
know.
more.
I was thinking about that yesterday. I told my wife, I'm like, you don't think I gained enough weight to have stretch marks? And she's like, yeah. So I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah,
Oh well,
but
you
I
know.
think you can get vitamin E cream, to help the skin. Oh no. I'll bet you, but you could Google it. Collagen peptides.
Collagen peptides. Okay.
Because that works your skin, your hair, and all that. Like I bought some of them the other day because my daughter told me I need to do it because I'm getting older. I need to look after my skin.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're good for your age. I mean, I didn't know. I thought you were, I'd have pegged you more like 50, and you said you're
Yeah.
57, 56?
No, I'm 62.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're doing really good, Barry. You're doing something right, buddy. You're doing something right, man. You're enjoying life and living it right. That's how you get, that's an example because that is, let's say like beating like a dead horse or whatever, but it's true. There's nothing more important, and the way you feel is even more important than the way you look. Everybody, hey, you want to look good, that's great, but the way you feel is just waking up and feeling like getting out of bed is the goal, and getting out.
But I truly believe that the part of the formula, part of it is genetics, of course, and then the other part is just being happy. Like if you look at a girl who goes to the bar and gets drunk with her girlfriends,
right?
And when she arrives at the bar, she's got that sour face, like just bitter, twisted, mean and nasty Batman face, I call him. And then she gets a few beers and a couple of drinks, and then Sweet Caroline comes on, and and then God, you just see this beautiful woman, and it's not because I've been drinking.
right.
But, take all those lines away that are your frowns and your anxiety and your victimhood and your
get the happy juice in there.
Your woe is me and your pity party and your he's not this and he's not that or she's not this. Take all that shit away, right? And just be you and be happy that this is you. You're probably going to look younger and more handsome, more beautiful, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, stress builds cortisol too, which is a whole nother thing. And just, it's just like you said, it's hard. It's unfortunate. And, a lot of people, it is difficult, in the struggles and dealing with drugs and alcohol and
read, my guy told me that cortisol is really critical. But too much cortisol is bad. It's like oxygen.
Right. Well, it's critical. It's in your body, and it's a lot of it has to do with fight or flight and different things like that. So you absolutely need it, but it's when you have too much of it, and and you're just constantly having it, and you can't sleep, and it's crazy.
Yes.
And that's when it becomes a problem because I think maybe it converts to estrogen somehow. Another one of those deals that it'll affect that, and but it's one of those things like, hey, even blood sugar. Your blood sugar gets too low. You're screwed, even worse than if it gets too high. So it's one of those things that, our bodies are obviously very, God created us a pretty magical type of machine that we have. And just like me with my eyes, I think I told the doctor, I said, I guess probably that's a way of your body warning you. My eyes were so blurry and still are. They're coming back, fortunately, and they're supposed to come back 100%. They didn't see any permanent damage, thank God. But I think it's like your body's way of telling you, like, hey, man, you better go figure something out because no bueno, So any too much of a bad thing, or I guess in the case that could be too much of a little thing. But yeah, you're right. Cortisol is one of those things that you have to have and occurs naturally. But for people that are constantly stressing, and it takes a lot. And I think the mental side of things can really help that too. But it takes work. And like you said, the girl that shows up with a scowl and drinks, to become happy, and then they're happy, and then the next day it's just the same routine, and you're like, who the fuck is that? That's all you last night. You seemed all happy, like you said, just being since we care about, and now you're just just freaking just a horrible person to be around. But you can't, you got to take that time for the self-care, and just as much as you do for business. I'm trying to make that a part of my day because it's hard. Sometimes you get caught up in things, and it's not easy. It's not easy to cook healthy meals that are truly healthy and shop for and all that. But it becomes easier, and it has to be a part of your routine, because otherwise, what's the point of? I love business. I have a passion for business. There was a point in time where I would drive my parents and probably other friends that weren't in business nuts, and I could see how, because I loved it. I wanted to always talk about everyone business. Me and my mom get arguments.
Yeah.
She would talk about health. I'm like, well, why are you talking about health? Why are you talking about his business? I'm like, yeah, you're right. If I can look back and see that, but I had that passion. It's everything I wanted to do. I'd be on vacation and I couldn't stop thinking about business. But I think that's how entrepreneurs are in general. Doesn't matter if it's a Saturday, it's a Sunday. That's the thing. Like, I might not work tomorrow, but I'll work on the weekend if I want to. Or, that's the beautiful thing about, and certain businesses are different ways. You can get to the point where you don't have to, or even certain jobs out of the gate can be that way. But that's the beautiful thing about, for these people that watch your show that are seeking out or already have taken that step to running their own deal, is it easy? No. Is it easier for some than others? Absolutely. Just because of different things. It could be the money that they got from their parents, or it can be just their attitude or their overall personality. Or I think that some people are born with traits that make them a lot more
absolutely
predisposed for it. I mean, my mom told me I've been a negotiator since I was 3 years old. I'd pick up my toys, but can my friend Mark come over and play? Like, we would do stuff, but there was always a trade-off. So I think that some of it, you're just kind of, you're born into that. And again, like, that's the thing I hate about these schools these days. In college is just as bad, if not worse. The indoctrination and the shoving of this stuff down, the censoring of certain things and putting other things out to mold. It's like, I don't talk about this, certain things that drive me crazy that they're promoting in school. You know what? Don't promote that. Each person is their own. Let them be their own. But don't sit there shoving it down my son's throat that it's okay to be like make them want to be this way. But
that's the full circle on where I was getting to before. There's a cultural revolution going on, which
exactly, they want to demean the values. They don't want them there anymore. The church, God,
and
this.
The context which we brought that up in is stay close to your kids even when they're teenagers, right? You need, and this is for anybody who's a parent out there, through this chapter of humanity in the West, you need to stay close to your children, because they are going to be influenced into an alternative view of the world. Absolutely. Which will ultimately end up in automation and poverty, and you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. There's a revolution going on, which is well documented. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's written in the WEF, right?
It's 100%.
What is going on? Klaus Schwab articulates it regularly. Larry, whatever his name is, from BlackRock, articulates it regularly. They all tell us what they're doing, and we don't know what we're doing, but they're not doing it because they're not trying to do it to us. They're trying to do it to our kids, so that the next generation, and then they can, whether they want to use a virus or whether they want to just wait till we're old, or whether they want us to get fat and get diabetes and die early, it doesn't matter. The next generation,
and that's what they want,
the way they want.
And you're right. They try to get to their mind when they're little. You got to worry about, kidnapping and stuff like that. And that's always in your mind. And then as the boys get older, you don't have to worry about as much. My boys are they're my bodyguards pretty much now. They're 6'4", 6'5". They're huge. And so I joke around. I'm like, okay, I'm in the States now, but you still have to worry about this, because this is the time when people, because they know they can, try to get in their head, because they're vulnerable, because their hormones are going nuts and this and that. They get mad at the parents and this, and they're looking for a lot of that. And that's why you're right. You got to stay so connected and a part of their life. And I've noticed, it's funny, me and my wife were talking about it. We sold our house. We have a house in Dallas, because I opened a training center out here, and we rent that. And we had a house in East Texas on a lake, beautiful house. We sold it. And just because we want to build a place probably somewhere different on the lake or whatever, but we're living we have that tiny house that I towed. It's called the Tiny Holiday House. My 17-year-old, or he's turning 17 in a couple weeks. I put a bed in there, a couple chairs, TV. He still has to come over to our place to use the bathroom, but he's 2 campsites down. So we have 3 campsites total, big grassy area, and we're in a huge 43-foot fifth wheel. My wife and king size bed in there. My other son's in the front of it. We're in the back kitchen. We've noticed that more than ever, we've been sitting down and eating meals together more. And and it's simple. We don't have as much stuff, and I'm like, I love it that way. We don't have all this crap, and you don't need it. We're sitting down, we're playing poker the other night, or playing Uno, or it's like your closer quarters. And you think if you drive, you drive each other crazy at times, but other times you're looking at them like, she's like, I was just telling my sister that the other day that, because we were kind of bad about that. Like we weren't the family. We had a lot of space, living right here, and somebody be sitting on TV, somebody else sitting at the bar area, eating our meals and kind of our own thing. And it's kind of cool because really there's only one place, especially since my 19-year-old dominates the front area. There's like 2 sofas, baby puts the bed out. Of course, you never put it back every day. So we're in the dinette area because that's the only place to sit. But it's been real enjoyable, and we look out right at the lake. We're on the water, so it's cool. It's like sometimes you gotta take a deep breath and experience that.
Oh, if only I could, if only I could look. If I could talk to me 20 years ago and listen to that and say that is actually the answer. Don't make monuments bigger to yourself. Get yourself into a smaller space. Raise a family in a small house. We had Megan Likes on, last night, and she was, she's she's a go-getter, and she's got businesses, and she's a speaker everywhere. She lives in 900 square feet place.
Right.
I wrote to her this morning and said, you inspired me so much because there's so few people that I can talk to who get where I've got to. Is that I don't need big. I need close.
It's just more to maintain, and I know I love being outside, and I like a lot of acreage and
but it's the closeness. It pushes the people
space
together.
that you're living in. It does so
We're
much.
a pack animal. We need to just we give dogs a kennel. We don't give them like a house. We give them a little kennel. They all get in there and they all curl up together and they have a great sleep and lick each other's ears.
And the problem is, if you were to go back to my 30-year-old self, which is I'll be 50 in December, I would have listened and I would have paid attention. And I would have been polite, but it wouldn't have sunk in one bit. I would have been like, "Oh man, Perry's fucking crazy."
Failure talk.
Yeah. He's
just given up on the dream.
He's lost his ambition. But in reality, you've gained the know-how and the wiseness to understand, and that's what it is, and that's what's funny. And I think that's. You got to be dealing with a really, certain type of person, which is few and far between, and like an old soul to even really get that and take it to heart. Because otherwise, like I said, I'd love to say, "Oh man, I would have done," but I had people tell us that, right? And you probably did too. Like, hey, the key of this and this, and worry about this stuff, and it just one ear and out the other.
Yeah,
you think about it, whatever. But shit, no, man, I'm gonna get that Ferrari, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna be on that 75-foot sport fisher, and I'm going to have to slave my life away working. I know a couple of CEOs of big companies, and they're unique individuals, and they work all the time. And some of them regret it, because they're missing soccer games. And I had a guy like literally almost in tears. We were at a seafood restaurant one time, and he was CEO, had been for a couple big companies, nothing like huge. Like one of my buddies, his brother-in-law is the CEO of Target, and he'll talk about him, and they're just almost like just different breeds completely. But he was just telling me, he's like, this was your typical CEO that was making, couple $1 million a year, different positions. But it's like, there's just so much sacrifice that goes along with that, that a lot of times you get caught up in it. And at the time you don't realize it. But when you reflect back on it and you've lost that time,
no idea.
He had regrets on it, and like literally, he was like tearing up. He didn't start like bawling or anything, but I was like, "Oh man, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it." And those kind of stories, that's been about 10 years ago, maybe even only like 8, I think, that 7 or 8. And I did take that kind of more to heart. And I think, the older you get, you do a little bit more of that. But just seeing that, and that was like a real hard, like him, like really just saying, like, kind of like, don't be careful what you wish for, because it's not always so great on that side. It can be, but if you're the type of person, like, I value family more than anything. Friendship is up there as well, for sure. But family and friendship, good friends, good family, good food, hanging around, that's what it takes, man. And it can be in a small kitchen, it can be in a big kitchen, as long as it's functional. I love to cook, so I'd love a bigger kitchen, but we make do in this little RV. We're still making our grilling out and making some fantastic meals, eating healthy,
great.
going to the store every day. So it takes you a while to get to that point, and hey, it's only natural to just want to do your own thing, and you have to choose. Like my wife always says something, I'm gonna get it wrong, but she says like my chapter 16 is not your chapter 42, right? It's something along the lines of like everybody is going to be different, because we've all
Very
had
nice.
different places that we were at in that point in life. And that's okay, because most of the time you're going to hopefully evolve and just I've always been the thought, like I really have stuck to the thing my whole life of I like to be able to hold my head up high in a room, and I treat people truly the way that I do want to be treated, not to sound like quoting something out of the Bible or whatever. I just think that I like to put a smile on people's face much more than I do, because it's just like, and especially people are less fortunate, like kids or something that grow up in these situations they can't even handle. And I would encourage people, and I don't even do enough of it. Hopefully in the future, I'll have time to do more and more stuff, and I need to make more time, but it really, and I think a lot of people are that way, just to put a smile genuinely on somebody's face that just has a sucky life that sometimes they can't control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. When I was in Vietnam, I was gonna get involved with the orphanages there, and since I've been in Thailand, of course, I'm busy with Dolly and other ideas and good things. And
you're still raising the kid.
Yeah,
that's what's keeping you young too. You gotta stay young. You got a 12-year-old or 13.
He goes like he gets home from school like it's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? And he goes like, "What?" I said, "You want me to teach you to drive?" This was yesterday. I said, "You want me to teach you to drive the car?" He goes, "Nah, I'm too tired." I said, "Well, what are you going to do?" He says, "Jump in the pool. You want to come?" And then we live on the beach, right? So if he does this, so we play goalie, right, at each end, right? So it's got to hit the water and then get past you, and then it's a goal. Well, so I've put up this invisible netting so it can't go into the ocean sideways.
You don't keep losing the ball. Yeah.
If he hits it and it bounces off the water and hits my fingertips, it goes over the wall, and then there's a chance it's going to go down a 2 meters, like 7-8 foot drop, and end up in the water. And then I've got a 5-minute recovery, or we've got a prawning net that we go down and try and scoop it if the tide's high enough and the wind's blowing the right way, but we do that for an hour or more, and we float on things and fight each other, and you've got to get the other guy to touch the bottom of the pool, or
that's serious exercise right there. I mean, you're in your 60s and you're hanging with the 12-year-old that's active as hell. That's pure aerobic right there, buddy.
Every pool session is a Frenchie versus a Muttley. Muttley is our pug dog. Pug dogs are fat, right? So I'm the.
They're durable. I call them like they're one of my favorite little dogs because. The ones I've seen don't tend to bark like a little chihuahua or something.
No,
and
they've got a hilarious scream.
They're cool little freaking dogs, man, and they're durable. Big guy can I don't have to if we had a pug, I don't have to we've got a little miniature. We had a big dog and she passed away, but we have a little miniature wiener dog. I got to be careful where I walk because you step on a dog like this. Pugs are a little more durable. They can.
Oh yeah, you trip over a pug.
Now you can hear them sleeping at night sometimes.
Oh god, yeah, you know where they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got pug power and he's got Frenchie power, right? Which is a French bulldog.
Oh yeah,
right?
My buddy raises those.
And that's the same one as you got to wrestle and then push the other person to the bottom of the pool. So you got to hold your breath long enough, and then he'll hold me down. He's worked it out how to get me under the water and twist himself on top of me, and and I don't want to touch the bottom. Of course, you touch the bottom to push yourself up, you lose. Right, so I've got to try and wriggle around and all that. Like, he's a hilarious kid.
I'm not gonna lie, man. You sound like you're having the time of your life,
really.
And that's awesome. I mean, you can see your smile on your face, and that that you really enjoy that, and it's the little things like that really matter the most. It's like, who cares about? I've been to a million restaurants and bars and this and that, but and they're to the extent, a lot of them it's the same old thing. So. It's those kind of experiences because That's not. There's not going to be that opportunity there that presents itself forever. And that's what people don't realize, and it just flies by, and it's gone. And to do the other stuff, I don't care. You walk in a bar, maybe because people are on their phones a little bit more now, not as much interact, but it's pretty much the same thing as it was 30 years ago. You go in and you're going to find another 30 years from now, probably a similar type deal, but you're not going to have the opportunity to do what you're doing there. So it's it's fun. It sounds awesome, man. It's keeping you in shape, and you're having fun.
Yeah. But a little bugger like this, I'm too tired to learn to drive the car, but he's not too tired to fight me in the pool for an hour and a half,
And the funny thing is, when I was 12, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go drive. I want to go driving. Kids are different these days too, though. My 19-year-old, he doesn't even have his license yet. The first thing I did when I was 16, I got my license. I went to Denny's, and in the United States, Denny's, you get a free meal on your birthday. And I went straight, that was the first thing I did, was got my license. And then I had lucky enough to have a brand new car. My dad bought me a Camaro, which I really didn't need, and we really didn't have the money for it anyways. But yeah, it was too much fun. I would never. That was a bad idea. I'm about buy my kid a Volvo or a big truck or something like that. But yeah, it's funny. I think that's changed. But it sounds like the biggest thing now you got to deal with too is the battle of this. Looking at this all the time.
Oh, we're dealing with that yesterday. I know the posture, but I'll get
limited time, but it's okay, limited time, but not when it's 4, 6, 8 hours a day. I mean, it's horrible.
He loves it, but see, again, Josh, this is it. The only way to do that is not to say don't do that. It's to do something else. So if I don't want them on Instagram, I get in the swimming pool with them, or I want to take them driving, or we'll go motorbike riding. Or
it's become the babysitter. It's the babysitter, and for a lot of people. And you're right. It takes the effort for you to do that and go do those things. And
I mean, obviously, for me, it's just me and him. So he hasn't got a brother or a sister. But even the brother or sister, like sometimes you got to do it. And playing cards. I was going to tell you, there's another game that you can buy. It's cheap as chips. It's called Cribbage.
I've heard of Cribbage. Yeah, Cribbage. Yeah,
get Cribbage. You get a wooden board that folds in half on Amazon. Right, it's $10 or something, and it's a little pegging game. It's skill and luck. So it's a lovely fast. The whole game maybe takes 45 minutes for a whole game, but each hand only takes a few. But it is a lot of fun, and you'll learn a lot, and it's very competitive, right? And three people. If you get the cribbage board that's got 3 lines, you can have 3 people playing at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds.
Like that one. Yeah, we do.
Games are definitely. I just we just started doing games more. I wish I was more new when they were little kids. I was horrible about that, but but I'm getting coming around, and we were, like I said, we were sitting we were playing poker with and then we started playing some blackjack, and then I saw a deck of cards there, so I just started dealing them, and it's like, it's usually not my nature, just like too high strung, and in a lot of ways, but that's something that I've worked on a lot. That is, it's worth it, because it's, in the end, it pays off so much to do that. And I have been fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time with my kids on a lot of occasions, and drag them on business trips with us, and that's where the homeschooling also came in to play. I mean, they've been on so many trips and conventions, and working at the huge convention, working at Trans World Halloween and Christmas show, handing out stuff, doing things, and they enjoy it some of the time, and some of the time it actually is like a chore or work for them, but they're exposed to it, and and I think it's a great thing when parents can do that kind of stuff, and then also all the fun stuff with them as well. It's a good balance there. And again, you're right. There's it's okay. There's need for this, but there's also a lot of bad shit on this that you're talking about, that when they're trying to tap in their brains and stuff that should be censored for 12-year-olds or 15-year-olds, that they really shouldn't get their hands on. When we were kids, you're lucky if you found a Playboy or something, or God forbid a penthouse, and it's like, wow, you really scored in your dad's bar area or something like that. And it's now they're just going here and just see stuff that their minds are too young to see.
Well, even for us, even if you've got curiosity, it's still bizarre. and you go, that's bizarre. Like it's
Exactly.
not interesting. It's interesting from a curious point of view because it's available to be curious about, but
Sure.
it's bizarre. It's not. There's no part of it would.
And then it becomes desensitizing if it becomes something that's really like you said, like looking at it, just like if I walked down that street in Thailand I've never been to before, I'd be like, whoa, well, okay, but hopefully I wouldn't be like, oh man, I want to start going there every day. That's what let's happy hour.
Yeah, well, Harrison has a pretty frank conversation with me because he grew up with porn somehow. He was living with me. I brought him up from 10, but I didn't know anything about it. But now he's 31. We talk about everything, and he talks about how it gave him a distorted view on sensuality, sexuality, so he had to cut that out in order to experience more, from himself rather than rather than copying what he'd seen. He was like an actor acting out what he'd seen on porn rather than a person being sensual and sexual and physical and emotional and vulnerable and empathetic and thoughtful, all of those things all put together with two people, really being gender free. If like true lovemaking is gender free, actually,
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's good. It's great that you have that kind of relationship too. That kind of relationship that he's, close enough to talk to you about that and feel comfortable, and that's the way, that's the way it should be between a father and his son is to be able to have that closeness. And some people are like, oh, I never would want to talk to that about my dad or whatever, but come on,
people are shocked at what Harry and I talk about together, or what Harry tells me or whatever, or what I've told Harry, but
our kids are the same way, and it's like sometimes I'm thinking like, we're the weird parents or whatever, but it doesn't, it's like I'll call if there's something like I'll be like, hey, that's not appropriate, don't talk about that in front of your mom or whatever, or that's more of guy talk, or you want to play some dirty rap music when we're in the car. Fine, but but when mom's in the car, it's a different story, or try to do that. But boys are boys, and they're gonna have to learn their lessons the hard way and sometimes the easy way. But it's I'm actually glad that I had two boys instead of girls. Not that I wouldn't have liked girls or whatever, but I've been happy with our situation, and consider myself very blessed in a lot of ways to have what we've had and what we've also built up together as a team with my wife and I.
That's fantastic. Look, I mean, you're a lot of fun to talk to, Josh. And I know we don't talk to somebody said to my mate Peter Thomas, he says, listen in, it wasn't really very much about window cleaning. And I go, well, it's not meant to be about window cleaning. It's really just the journey of the people, and the discussion of life, with the hope that there's a gem somewhere where somebody goes, oh shit, like, Josh, like everybody started from nothing, even if they had something. Like, we might have had some money from leftover, but some of the stuff I started with nothing, like really nothing. Reach It started with $6,000.
Absolutely, yeah. And a chance, and you took the chance with that money. It's probably the 6,000 you had, and you believed in it. And that's the thing, is that's what's going to help you. Doing something that's just blatantly stupid, is maybe different or whatever. But calculated risk in business, you've got to take it. You've got to go into debt sometimes. You've got to lay it on the line. And sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't pay off as well. But if it doesn't, you got to just, I've had situations where I had some losses in business and made the wrong decision, but it was still worth a try. It was a good tax deduction, and learned a couple lessons. And sometimes I'm like, man, why don't I listen to myself? It's like, God, if I would follow like the instructions that I tell other people to do, because you sit in a class with me for just like if it was with you for a couple of days, you're going to absolutely get some freaking nuggets. I don't care if you've been doing something for 10, 15 years, you've been in the business. Some people will get more out of it. But conversations like this, I love this too, because we're not having to just sit here, okay, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you, more about like, getting to know, the people in the audience know, like, it's just ordinary people that really can do some pretty extraordinary things. And it really all just depends. Like, I think a lot of people that have the ability to do kind of a lot of things that they want to do, but it does take discipline, and it takes sacrifice and risk and dedication.
Yeah.
And aside from that, a little bit of luck doesn't hurt either. And sometimes it is who you know more than what you know. I'll tell you that right now. There's a fact to that. But everybody, I think that there's a lot to be said about hard work. My wife was never really the best student, but yet she has a master's in autism, and people love what she's done with kids. But again, she wasn't always the one that made like A's or B's easily. I mean, I don't tell my kids that's okay. You don't have to be that. But if you work hard, most of the time, and even if you have a disability and you can get help for it, hard work does pay off. Yeah,
well, that's what I've always said to somebody. I'm not sure that I'm that much smarter than anybody. I just think that I've worked that much more than anybody. So
you're a creator though, so I think the ideas do come to you probably easier than some people or whatever. And everybody's got an idea, but also there's a difference in having an idea and doing like what you've done with the poll, the reach systems and things like that. An idea is just an idea, right? It's out there. It'd be very unusual that somebody else didn't have the same idea that we had, if not 6 other people in the world. But the difference is you do what it takes to make that idea happen, and you don't get too jaded and have a million ideas, because we probably both do, but you got to stay, the course in one direction as well. And it takes step by step. Okay, how do I get that idea to fruition? And that's, that's where it becomes a difference. And, a lot of that can be learned. But again, I think a lot of that is also it's in you, man. It's something that you're gifted to be born with, just like an athlete is born with, the guys that can shoot hoops way better or play hockey or anything else, those guys, partially, some of them had hard work, dedication. Others, it came to a little bit easier because they were just naturally inclined. They just came out of the womb dribbling the basketball,
Yeah. But if they don't do any hard work, they're never going to get anywhere, right? So it's still
no way, exactly, and that happens all the time. The wasted talent, you see that as well.
Yeah,
and no, for sure, no, that's a great point. That you can't. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I'm not. It still doesn't necessarily come easy.
No,
maybe, but the hard work does absolutely have to be applied. I mean, there's been days being in seasonal businesses, jet ski rentals, Christmas lights. We didn't have, sometimes not even Thanksgiving. You know what? Because I'm making money that time of year. We'll celebrate Thanksgiving on December 15th or whatever, or summer, pulling jet skis out that have been flooded, flipped over, wrecked by people at 7:00 in the evening, working on them, turning wrenches till midnight, 1:00, getting to sleep at 1:30, getting up at crack of dawn to get the skis back in the water, sometimes for 3 months. But that was the nature of that business, and it took a lot of hard work, but there was a lot of money that was made in that short period of time. Yes. So it was worth it. But no, you're 100%. The effort, and I think also the consistency, and like I said, the discipline, because if you don't have discipline and you can't tap into that, and I've been better at certain times in my life than others with that, but you do have to, it goes so far, and doing certain things and having a regimen, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and we're probably preaching to the converted, but yeah, for all of the lifestyle balancing conversation, none of it is saying don't work hard. What it is saying, I think, is that outside of working hard, be aware and if you can, and I couldn't, but if you can, well, I did, but not as much as I would want to. If you get your time again, you'd definitely spend more time with your kids. By the nature of, as you get older, you realize that they are the meaning of life, per se, right?
Right. And if I, probably just like you, if I wanted to work harder, I probably would make more money. If I wanted to put 12-hour days in. Number one, I just don't think my body would would hold up to that kind of stuff as I get older. And number two, I just don't want to do that. I'm happy making what I feel is a pretty good income, doing what I do, and I don't simply. It's because unless you just completely love your job, which I think we talked about this, or I talked about with somebody else. Like, hey, if it's like my job is drinking beer, hanging out, with my buddies, and being a beer critic, or which I really don't drink that much at all anymore, especially because the diabetes stuff. I'm really, kind of having to swear it off, which is okay. I've had plenty of years of doing that, but it's it's tough to find that thing that you absolutely love so much that you can say, sure, I'll do it from 14 hours a day because I love it that much. And maybe there's a few people that have jobs like that, but otherwise it's work, and work does equal reward. But there's got to be the balance there. You've got to also say, hey, take care of myself as well. And somebody put it to me about a lot of people, you treat yourself like shit, and you want to have in like a lot of rich people, a lot of wealthy, very wealthy people, and they own thoroughbred racehorses, and they feed them the best feed. They get the best vets for them. They do all this stuff, they pamper them, and but for themselves, they're eating, crap food, and they're like not. You got to treat yourself as the thoroughbred that you want to be as well, to keep your mind clear and your body in check as well. And a lot of times that's extremely difficult to do. It's easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
It's 100%, and I will vouch for that. I'm a poster child. I can tell you exactly what you should do, Perry. But for me to follow that, it's 10 times harder. But I'm getting around because I had to, and I'm going to do it. And I have done it before in my early 30s when I was having another little smaller health condition, and I just turned around on a dime, But it takes me to that point. But yeah, you want the roadmap for me to tell you, okay, you do this, blah blah blah. But again, it's not always easy to do, but it does pay off. I think that. I'm starting to realize that more and more, and that's unfortunately something that comes with age.
But I remember at 35, I was under so much pressure that I was having chest pains, right? So I went to the doctor. Doctor was going to do an ECG, see if I'd had any problems with my heart. And I remember then he had an emergency, so I had to go to the hospital. So they said, can you come back in an hour? And I said, okay, I'll come back in an hour. And I went for a walk. And on my walk through North Sydney, through some, parks and stuff like that, I went on this walk and I said, okay, I'm going to get one of two things. A, I'm super anxious and super stressed, and my body's just not coping. Or B, I'm in risk of a heart attack, or I've had a heart attack and I've already got damage. Okay, what would I do if I had a heart attack? Right? If I had a heart attack, I'd stop what I'm doing. I'd go and get myself a little farm somewhere, and I'd go and enjoy life, whatever. So then I said to myself, what the hell am I doing waiting for a heart attack to do what I need to do? That's that,
Right.
And then, so I did. I sold up everything, and I got a little farm up in Queensland, and life was way too slow for me. I lasted 18 months, but
but it was probably a nice break. It was probably a good
fantastic
sabbatical.
break.
I think that sometimes I'll tell people, people have it all wrong. You retire when you're, and I know it's not this way in all cultures, and some people do have longer. They have holidays over in Europe, places and stuff. But people retire when they're let's say 65 to 75 or even 80. What's the fun of that? Take a couple of years off when you're young. Do a little reverse retirement, right? Because you can still be your kids are out of the house. They're living their own lives. I mean, hopefully you're still part of it and living close by everywhere. But still, they got all that stuff going on. So it's why not do that stuff while you're still physically exactly, because you never know
everything
it's going to disappear. Right, exactly. And it doesn't. This year we lost my dad, who we were really close to. He lived with us for a lot of our the time my wife had been married, on our property and stuff. And he died from pancreatic cancer last February, and not this past one, but the one before.
Yeah.
So it's been a little over a year and a few months. And I'll tell you, when they're gone, they're gone. And I believe in God, and hopefully I'll see him again on some other level. But you can look up in the sky and say, hey, Dad, show me a shooting star or something. Shit doesn't happen. It's when they're gone, they're gone. You can't talk to them anymore. They're gone. And man, I wish I would have just. And he had cancer, and he died within 3 months, but it wasn't like a car accident. So we had our chance to say our piece, and we were there in the room with him when he passed away and took his last breath, which was it was a hard thing, but it was a beautiful thing too, because he knew we were there, and for us to be there, and we told him it's okay to go now. Because he was in so much pain. But it shows you, I think part of that was a big thing that was a life changer for me, that you realize that it can all be gone in one breath. And literally that's how it is. It's one last breath.
Yeah.
And
We
enjoy
are
it while you can, and while you're hopefully healthy to do it too. Because the older you get, you might be a little more like not able to travel as much or do as much physical. You might still have your mind and be able to work and do things. And that's why I kind of say, like, hey, how about do a little sabbatical like you did? 18 months. You probably got bored off your ass, but you were probably recharged and ready to go get them. You know, you were like, it was, I mean, I could be wrong, but it was probably a nice break for you that you needed.
Yep.
You know?
Oh,
And you might have had a heart attack if you hadn't done that.
right.
And done a recharge, you know?
Right.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
I thought you said retard.
No, recharge.
That's our favorite word.
Here's the mic here. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, and the thing about travel, you're a sprained ankle away from not being able to enjoy travel.
Exactly.
You know, you're a bodgy hip away from not being able to travel, enjoying travel. Like while you have power, while you have 4 limbs working, while you have a brain that's cracking along, while you have you should go and experience life and get into other cultures and expand your viewpoints. And
I've got a chronically bad back. The last 2 or 3 conventions I've been to, I finally started renting a scooter because people know that Josh should walk around, and I'm doing everything I can. I went to a doctor yesterday and got a bunch of shots, and this is a natural type doctor, a bunch of shots of cocaine or lidocaine is what they used. And again, this is a holistic approach. And then because I've tried all the other stuff, I've tried steroid shots, I've tried really going and burn your nerves, and I vowed, and a big part of that is also losing the weight, but I vowed that I'm not going to wake up every morning feeling like crap, because I didn't always feel like that way, and I've always been real active. And I was an athlete in college for the time I went to community college, and I want to be able to, even though my kids are 16 and they're 17 and 19 basically now, they still like to do all that fun stuff, riding bikes, riding their Churons. So my goal is to do anything, whether it's red light therapy or the cold baths, or I'll try anything. A lot of it's bullshit. And
stem cells. Maybe
Maybe that's going to be my last thing, because it's such a crapshoot. It's 50-50. Doctors have told me, and it's about $20 grand to get it done over here.
Wow. Okay.
Not that I'd pay $100 grand if they said it's guaranteed it's going to work. But but you're right. Was going back to example. You never know when you wake up and you do have that permanent injury, even or and not that people can't still go do stuff. And like I said, that's why I'm cruising around, honking my horn on a scooter.
There's stuff you can't do. Like A, Josh, to your own self be true. B, your actions expose your priorities, right? Those two together, that's what I teach Harrison, right? So if you're not doing what you think you're doing, and you say I'm this, I'm that, and you're not doing it, then if you know it but you don't do it, you don't know it, and you push Josh Trees to recover, because if you can do what Louis done, and I wouldn't be able to say it unless I'd seen Louis do it, because I wouldn't know shit, but I've seen Louis do it.
Right.
So I'm going to go, okay, if Louis can do it, Josh Trees can do it. If Josh Trees does it, we've got no idea how many of your challenges, the back challenge, could be related just simply to the back just being pulled forward.
Absolutely. 60 pounds is more than a concrete bag. That's a lot of weight. Think of how big of a trolley.
You'd use a trolley for that. Oh, you do.
And hey, I've dropped a shirt size, man. That one thing is that belly's going down quicker.
Yeah, no, you're gonna love it, bro. You're gonna love it. Yeah, I'm gonna have you on here. We'll follow that journey, right? Because
that sounds awesome, man. No,
I can hold you. I don't know who you've got holding you accountable, but I would certainly be here for you. Like I say, I don't care, but I do care. I don't mind, but I do care. That's a better way to say it.
I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is now I'm holding myself accountable, and I'm making myself make those choices to where what I love. Oh God, I love frozen custard and a big old milkshake. But you know what? It gets easier day by day, and I'm allowed to have berries, and I do whipping cream with. I'm not big into artificial sweeteners, although those won't spike my blood level, but there's other bad things. So I might occasionally have a ginger ale or something that's diet and cheap, but usually monk fruit sweeteners is completely natural. It's like stevia, but I like monk fruit because it doesn't have the aftertaste. You can make some great desserts, a little harder, but raspberries and strawberries I'm allowed to have. So hey, that takes care of that rocky road need, or it's sucking down the, if you were only 3 months ago, man, I had a bad everything happened. Milkshakes were one of them, and God knows that's not good for just the weight loss, but also just for diabetes. I mean, God, it's like,
right.
I probably went from having 500 to 700 carbs a day down to now like less than 30, which is, it's huge. But you're right, you got it, and it does help if you have other people possibly holding yourself accountable. But I'm the kind of person that it just doesn't, at the end of the day, a lot of that might help, but I'm so like stern and bullheaded, as people might say, that I've really got to be the one to say, look, I'm making that change, and I've got to do it, and look in the mirror and say, I'm doing it. And why am I doing it? Because I want to wake up feeling good in the morning, and I want to go ride those Surons and do that shit. Because that's the finish line. And when I got on that scale and I only lost 8 pounds, but my kids are like, that's not bad for for just 10 days. It's really not. And I'm down to, so I'm at 288. Okay, but I was at 307 3 months ago. So I lost a little bit or whatever, but 8 pounds in a week, and it's at 50 years old. I don't think I can have the same expectations that I had.
No.
And the next thing is I got to get the exercise. even though my back's messed up, hold on to the handles, walk on a treadmill. So it's those kind of things, and just setting up and writing things down. I'm a firm believer in that and the goals.
Yeah, you want to draw the graph, because the graph tells you whether you're true to yourself, whether you're being true, right? Whether you're achieving what you said you're achieving, like it's, and I'm no master of this shit, but I just
and me neither. But I think we do know about how people are.
We all have a blind spot somewhere. We have a blind spot, and we don't know why it's there. And tapping into it, but just something, whether it's because we set it up publicly, or whether we set it to our family, or whether we set it to the mirror, there's a point where you can reverse some of the
for sure. And there's a point too that you can't anymore, and that's where you get to that point and you're fucked. And that's where, like you said, you have the heart attack. Well, you know what? It's going to be inevitable. So why wait till that happens and live? Yeah. Even if you live and you have a stroke, you're going to be slurring. It's not. It's going to be life, but it's not going to be the same quality. And and you're, I don't want to be the person that's like old and laying in a bed with a feeding tube for 10 years. Just freaking take me at that point.
Dude, but it's even worse if you're not old.
Exactly. And you see people, and I've had a couple friends that have passed away, even from heart attacks. And I'm only turning 50, and and it's just you start thinking about it. You're like, God dang, man, the party's over, bud. It's time to start. It's time to start walking the line. And because I used to have it, even when I was doing good, I'm not doing the cheat days now. I'd have like a cheat day where I just kind of go nuts. We went to a Mediterranean buffet last night, and my cheat was literally like 2 bites of rice, and a little eggplant that had a little molasses in it. That's all the reasons. Otherwise, it was lamb. I had a lamb kebab. It was like phenomenal buffet, like Korean buffet, except the sweetness would be my problem. I'd have to order all this stuff. But it's you get the meat sweats after you lose those. You use that's what my kids and I always joke about. We go to the Korean buffet like 10 minutes from here, and man, we're sweating cold sweats by the time we're out of there because we're just eating way more than we need to. But hey, it's carnivore. It's supposedly, like Louis said, dude, the breakfast was ridiculous. He put on Facebook the other, like 12 eggs, 16 sausages, but your body processes it in something. And I've heard the same thing from multiple people, that it's just something to do with when you're eating that type of food that doesn't clog your body up. It's different. It's just different, and you stay full, you're fine. And fortunately, I love seafood and stuff like that.
Watch your sausages, bro. Sausages are full of breadcrumbs. And
I have. And I'm more of like I really prefer, honestly, turkey, chicken, and I do like pork some, but I love seafood, shellfish, mussels, oysters,
Come to Thailand.
Sashimi. Yes, I have seen. Yeah. No, that's going to be my mecca. I don't think the food there will ever get old.
Eat it all day long. Yeah, it's great.
So.
Hey, Josh, we're close to 2 hours. I can see Ben is in the background.
Like, are these guys ever going to start talking? It's bedtime.
Did you see Harrison mentioned an app called Happy Scale?
I did not. I didn't see that.
So Happy Scale. There it is. The app Happy Scale is really good for tracking stuff because Harrison's actually been through this process in the last 18 months where he went from 30-year-old fat boy, not overly obese, but in the obese range, and floppy and stuff. And then he took up rugby union. And then now he's the president of the Rugby Union Club, and they're doing their first international next month. They're coming to Phuket to play rugby in Phuket.
Oh, nice.
But he's like squatting 120 kilograms, which is 260, 270 pounds, and got shoulders and guns, and he's just like all
transformation. And that's called Happy Scale.
Happy Scale, yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out. It's like a tracking of progress and goal setting and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, because I find that stuff. I do think that kind of stuff is extremely helpful. Definitely being able to monitor and hit your goals.
It's just how do I keep it top of mind, because it's isn't it? Because you've made the decision now. How do I track it? How do I talk about it? How do I think about it?
Progress to me does enhance motivation.
Yes.
Not that you can't do it without it, but when you see the progress, it's like, cool, the work is paying off. And is it paying off? Like, I was hoping I get on there and lost 30 pounds. That probably wasn't realistic. That's like 10 days. That might not have been healthy anyways, but I think
you watched those Biggest Loser, that TV show. That was pretty crazy. Like watching how much you could nearly kill somebody. I'd go like, dude, if I did that, I'd die, I'm sure, but they don't. But anyway, look, I really hope, Josh, from that side, there's a couple of things that are really important. Anybody heading down that path, which is a typical Western, American, Australian, New Zealand, you go to Australia, New Zealand, you're going to see fatter women than America. Like getting fat in New Zealand is normal.
Is it really?
Yeah. Like my mum was huge, like huge. She lived to 80. She didn't die early, 82, 83, but she was
robust woman, huh? Yeah.
She was like getting close to 2 seats in a plane, like
wow.
big woman, but skinny on top,
Yeah.
And,
right.
And you just go like, that we have to say this is social conditioning that's not right and not real and not necessary, and you're going to end up popping a pill every night at 6 o'clock and every morning at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or whatever. Big food is creating big pharma. Big pharma is creating symptoms.
100%. One pill leads to the next, and then the next, and and it's just a dead end street. And does it work? Does it mask symptoms? Maybe so, yes, but does it make you sick in other ways? Just like they're not going to kill
the goose that lays the golden egg, bro. They're just going to keep you popping pills and needing more pills. That's the way it's going to work.
Absolutely.
So same with sugar. The sugar, and if you read in Wikipedia the history of the sugar industry in America, in Louisiana, right? They developed products called ice cream, called candy, called soda pop for the mass consumption of sugar, which they were making.
To make the money off of it.
It's not a native plant to Louisiana, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you look at the brain loves it, man, and brain waves start going crazy like it's like methamphetamines or something. Same.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Right, Ben. Ben,
oh,
there he is. Like I say, Ben. You later is going to hate
Barry knows.
Dr. Pepper, that's right. Oh, Ben's in
my Dr. Pepper. Not Diet Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Death.
Dr. Pepper bottled about literally 10 minutes from where I'm sitting here in Frisco. I'm right by Frisco, Texas, and I don't know, does it say Plano on there? Does it tell you where it's bottled? It used to be Dallas. I think it's Plano.
Well, that's what I was going to say here.
Frisco now.
Per bottle, I was trying to see how many sugars are in there.
Oh, you don't want to look at that.
Just drink it warm, Ben. If you're ever into soda, right? Just make a decision. You'll never drink it cold. You'll only drink it warm, and that will tell you how much sugar is in it.
I tell you though, he's picking the right one. The Dr. Pepper is the good stuff. I mean, it is, it is what the doctor ordered, as they say. So, but man, I really enjoyed talking with you, and anytime, and I look forward to meeting up with you in person. I'm sure we're going to be, having some great
it's going to be
great
incredible
conversations. And hey, for anybody that does want to entertain you in the Christmas light business, check out our website. We've got
good business industry.
We've got 12 trainings coming up. We do them I've got my own training facility now, dedicated training facility. It's an awesome place, a lot of fun, networking, education, hands-on.
Do you do anything with Clippa?
Clippa. So I was that's a bad word in my house. I actually, if you look at
Ben always manages to do that.
So if you look at the founder of the Facebook page, so I co-founded. Clippa was my brainchild, and I brought Matt Hayden. We were best friends. We're in like 17, and this is a story for our private area for a long time. But I brought him into my business when about 12 years into it, and things lasted for a while, and typically that's a good way to lose a good friend, is that. But yes, Clippa, I co-founded. I'm the one that took the Clippa tiny house across the United States from California to Buffalo to everywhere else. And
I get calls from them all the time. Hey, do you want to buy supplies through us? Do you want to be trained?
Yeah, right. So Clippa, so now in the business divorce, I kept WeHateChristmasLights.com and Clippa, and similar, but they'll call you until you either politely say no or hang up on them or say yes.
Yeah.
But we do the same thing. So we do the training, and we've kind of upped it a little bit by doing a couple of months. What I like is to do smaller groups instead of I don't like training groups of 50, 75 people anymore. I like training groups of like 8 to 12 because I like to get to know the people. I like to be able to really contribute to their success, and it's hard to do that. And you forget names, you forget faces. But the last few events have been smaller. And I'm like, man, these are awesome. And we've capped it off now because I get to know about them, their family, the other things that they do. And it's just kind of where I'm at now. And it's more of a long-term plan of quality versus quantity. But I've heard of those Clippa guys.
You get whether they get it or not. Like, if you're a trainer, you need a group small enough to get whether they get it, because they're coming to get it, right? And if you go 5 people, you don't know shit whether they get who got what, who didn't get what, because you're just spruiking.
It's like herding cats. Nobody has time. You can't take questions along the way. Everybody gets inside conversations, even though I have to be on a megaphone. Like Ron out there. All right, guys, round about the have to be telling them. Hey, I'll tell them you're here to learn, right? Okay, we're having a social tonight. Talk at that. You came here for a reason. But, it's again like we're having a conversation. They're entrepreneurs. They're excited about things, and they start talking about this and this, and it's all business related.
Yeah.
But you're right. You've got to. I feel like it's a disservice, and even to myself, because nobody is walking out of that room. Really, maybe a few people that pay particular attention or whatever, but that's just our style, and that's kind of what I got away from once I deferred away from the Clippa divorce and all that. But it's based off kind of the same stuff that I do, so I'm not gonna say anything certainly bad. But I am the originator. Hey, I've been doing it for 27 years. I've trained a lot of these guys out there that are doing it, and like my wife will tell me on the phone, she's like, "Hey, do you want the diluted version, or do you want the version of the people that Josh taught?" Which I'm sure they can do a fairly good job or whatever, but you can't beat the original, right? I mean, and again, I have a passion for what I do, and I've been doing the training thing for, going on. I kind of gauge everything by age of my kids. I'm like, and before I have kids, and I've got a 19-year-old now, so I've been doing training for over 20 years.
I'll tell you this: the person who innovates and invents and is given the inspiration by God or whatever to drive them in that direction does it for the customer. The person who copies them does it for money.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
Does it-
I agree. I agree
coffee
100%, and that
does it for money,
statement makes
The original
100%
does
sense.
it for the end user. Yeah.
Right. And what I try to do is continue to innovate. And I don't look at like, oh, anything that they're doing, because people tend to follow stuff that I've done, but that's natural. That's going to happen, right? You're going to have people that
That's
copy
business, bro.
stuff you're doing. That's
Yep.
business. And I don't get mad. And everybody, has a right to do whatever they want. But I think that that's a great statement, that there's just a different passion level there. And when it's something that came out of your brain and evolved and you took it through that whole process, a good operations manager can take that over and can successfully run it. But to stay, and this is what some of the people that I really respect in my industry have told me,
He can't tweak it. He can't see what's wrong with it. He can't hear a customer say it doesn't do this, and he doesn't know what to do because he didn't think of it.
Exactly. And when you think about something, also you think about all that, right? I like sometimes for my own fault, I think way too ahead about stuff. I've had to like come sometimes kind of pull myself back, because I want to think like every little like choose your own adventure. Which way could this possibly go? So I can extinguish the fire, right? I mean, you're laying in bed and you want to have every almost like it's like a challenge to kind of like pan out like, hey, I knew what was going to happen with it, and like a buyer's group in general, and eventually the vendors were going to get tired of doing this and that, and tell you things, and I would like always think ahead, like you probably do, like, hey, how can I solve this problem before it even happens? But now I'll tell people, hey, don't worry about shit that hasn't happened yet, because there's really no reason to stress until it does. Nothing wrong with being prepared, just don't go overboard with it.
Yeah, I just say don't worry, just have a plan, right? Think about everything, make a plan, then forget it.
Exactly. You don't necessarily have to be the guys planning it.
When it happens, you have a turnkey solution, right or wrong, but you have a turnkey solution, what you're going to do,
And I think that's a very good strategy, because that could make you or break you in certain situations.
Yeah.
Even if it's not completely planned out, because you're never going to be able to be exactly experienced in that situation, but you can come close to it.
You have a decision that you can make
in your mind.
You have an instant decision to make. Once you've made a decision, you can think about what you've done. Thinking about what to do is a vortex. Thinking about what you've done is directional, intentional.
Absolutely. Directional and intentional, and very, very important, because there are always going to be problems. I don't care what you're doing. It'd be very rare to have a business where you didn't have, probably the easiest thing that I say is customer service. I don't get it when people can't give good customer service. That's something that should be easy for everybody. And if you're not going to get some dang training, because customers want to be treated well. And even if a customer is like, everybody, that just comes with the territory. Sometimes you're going to get a customer that's a little bit of a con, and maybe don't do business in the future or whatever, but still, with the way reviews are and everything, sometimes you just got to eat it. That's why you got to keep margins high. You got to keep things at a certain level, because sometimes you are going to have to eat it for some asshole customer that I'll say behind the back, that's the biggest asshole, whatever. But to their face, okay, yes, we want to make you happy. Do I ever want to do business with them again? If I say, sorry, we're booked up or whatever. But I don't believe in going in and be like, hey, I'm firing you, customer, because you're the biggest asshole in the world. Things travel too easy. The internet's a whole different, it's like, it's just, you keep it to yourself, walk away gracefully. And there's a problem if that's happening all the time to you, right? Then you got to take a look in the mirror and be like, what am I doing wrong? There's obviously something that ain't, jiving. I better like.
Who's the asshole in the room, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dearie me. All right, Josh, 2 hours and 10 minutes. We got to pull up stumps, and we're definitely going to run again, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I had a great time, and now I'm going to go eat my healthy stir fry that hopefully I can smell something. So I cut it all up. So hopefully my wife cooked it, because it's getting late here in Texas. It's 10 o'clock. I used to live for a while up in beautiful area, lived in Bend, Oregon, not too far from where where Ben is, not too far
Right.
from Idaho. Yeah, but I can see it's still daylight where he's at. But
Yeah.
it's pitch black here, man.
It's going to start getting dark here in
get to
about
bed.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Daylight here.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. I love the opportunity. I really, really enjoyed the conversation with you, Perry.
Yeah.
And I think you said, like, sometimes it's get off on tangents, shooting shit. But hey, that's just how we are, right? I mean, it's people that enjoy talking.
There's a natural evolution that's somewhere in there. There's always a little gem somewhere. Like, so you're better to just, wander around because there's something there, and you're not going to get it in a prepared speech or a scripted interview or something like that,
Oh, well, we look at this going back. I'm sure that, we did definitely made. I can think of some stuff, both of our, points that I'm sure people were, hopefully getting something out of it. I don't think that, I mean,
if nothing else, entertainment.
I think it's good stuff, man. Yeah, absolutely. At least getting to know us a little bit better too. And
yeah, that's right. That's right. We've all got businesses and we like to serve the industry, but I'm definitely going to invite you back. Because
that sounds great.
There's so much more, for the more colorful somebody's life has been, the more you realize that a second, third comfortable interview is going to bring out like crazy shit,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So again, appreciate the opportunity. I really enjoyed it. Genuinely had a great time speaking with you and looking forward to doing it again.
Sweet. I love it.
All right, man.
Thank you, Ben.
You guys take care. Thanks, Ben. Nice to meet you over the internet. Maybe I'll meet you in person one of these days at a show or an event.
At the Huge.
You'll be at the Huge? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
We've booked our booth.
Yep. Are you going to be at the Huge? Perry?
Yep. Oh, no, I might not. Harrison's going to go.
I know you said you're trying not to travel as much and everything.
Yeah,
but, okay, so
right?
Okay, good. Well, I'll see you guys. I'll see you out there, and it's going to be a great event. Love the Gaylord in Nashville, and those guys put on a fun event. So, all right, gentlemen, appreciate it again, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay, see you, Josh.
Thank you for watching or listening to another Service Six Sigma podcast. If you enjoyed the content, please like and share with other mobile service contractors. We live stream daily, Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. All previous podcasts are available for viewing at service6sigma.com. And for listening on your favorite podcast channel, just search Service Six Sigma. See you next time, and you have an epic day.